Hello everybody, it's Nomad Jim. Now when I first started my nomadic journey of full-time travel about 3 years ago, I had it in my head that I was looking for that one ultimate home base that I could establish myself in and live in most of the time. But as I've traveled around the world, I'm realizing that there's not just one place that I would want to spend most of my time in. For me, I think it's better to have multiple home bases in different regions of the world that I could bounce around between as I'd like. So I came up with a checklist of 8 different criteria that I think the ideal home base would satisfy. Today, I'm going to talk about the Southeast Asia region and why Kuala Lumpur, KL, is the ideal home base for me in that region. I should preface this by saying that when I say I'm going to establish a home base, it doesn't mean that I'm going to buy property there. I don't intend to spend enough time in any location to justify doing that. Also, in the case of Malaysia, at this point I have no intention of getting an MM2H visa, Malaysia My Second Home visa. Maybe I'll change my mind about that in the future, but for right now, that's not on my mind. The first item on my checklist is that the place should have my kind of vibe. And that's just one of those things that you feel. It's hard to describe, but you know it when you feel it. You feel comfortable, you feel like it's a place that's made for you, you feel relaxed in that place. It's hard to describe sometimes, but like I said, you know it when you feel it. And I find that in KL. I like the vibe there, I think it fits well with my personality, and I feel comfortable there. The second item on my checklist is that the place should be safe and peaceful. That's very important to me, that a place be safe, a peaceful sort of place where there's not a lot of violence, crime, or unrest. Now, in the Global Peace Index, the country of Malaysia is ranked number 10 on that list, so a very safe and peaceful place. For reference, the United States is ranked number 132, quite a ways down the list. Also, KL, even though it's a big city, is a very safe city. I've never felt unsafe there or uncomfortable at all. The third item on my checklist is that the place should have excellent healthcare. Now, I recently did a video about how I moved my routine healthcare to KL. So now that my healthcare team is located in KL, it makes sense that I should establish a home base there. The fourth item on the checklist is that the place should be welcoming to foreigners. Now, we've all heard the stories and seen videos of different places around the world where the locals are not so happy about having tourists and foreigners in their countries. But that's something I've never experienced in Malaysia. The Malaysian people are very kind, polite, welcoming, helpful. So that's a very important thing to me, to be in a place where I feel like I am being welcomed by the locals. And in Malaysia, I always feel that way. Number 5 is there's ease of communication. Now, I've mentioned before, I don't have a problem with going to a place where English isn't widely spoken, and I have to work a little bit to communicate with the locals. But when it comes to having a home base, I would prefer to be in a place where English is widely spoken. And in Malaysia, that is the case. So that's an important thing to me, to be able to communicate easily and comfortably. And I can certainly do that in Malaysia. Now, another thing too is that I may want to establish home bases in other places around the world, in places where I want to learn the language. So for instance, I do speak a little Spanish, so I wouldn't have a problem having a home base in a Spanish-speaking country, because I would get an opportunity to continue to learn more Spanish, and I would feel comfortable doing that. So it's not just a limitation that it has to be an English-speaking country for me to have a home base in it. That's another situation where having a language that I want to learn or I want to practice, I would feel comfortable having a home base in those countries as well. Number 6 is that there's ease of travel within the region. When I'm staying in a home base, I'm going to want to occasionally take a trip to different places within the region to explore around different areas. So it's important to me that there are easy and quick flights from the home base that I'm establishing. And KL has some easy and quick flights to all of Southeast Asia and to South Asia. Within 4 hours, you can fly to northern Vietnam, over to the Philippines, down to Indonesia and Bali, and within 4 hours, you can fly to most places in India and to Sri Lanka. So it's very well situated to have non-stop flights to all of these different places throughout the region. You can even fly down to Australia, to Perth, in 5.5 hours. That's really amazing because it takes forever from almost anywhere to get to Australia. And having these flights, they're all non-stop flights on airlines like Malaysia Airlines or AirAsia, which is the #1 low-cost carrier in the world, according to Skytrax, and they have been since 2009. So you're very well connected. You can go to a lot of different places, very cheap, very quickly. AirAsia is very inexpensive to fly. So having KL as a home base makes it very easy to explore around the region when I'm staying in that home base. #7 is that it has a reasonable cost of living. Now, the cost of living in KL is quite low, especially considering how modern and developed the city is. I recently did a video about how much it cost me to spend 30 days in KL. You can click on the video above to watch that. Now, I say a reasonable cost of living because I don't necessarily need to stay in the cheapest place to stay. Now, are there places that are cheaper to stay in Southeast Asia? Absolutely. But those places are not going to be as modern and developed as KL is. So that's an important consideration for me. I want to stay in some place that's modern, that's very developed, and it's still affordable. And KL definitely fits that. The #8 item on my checklist is that the place should have no cold weather. I found that I really have no interest in staying in places that are really cold anymore. I much prefer a milder to even a hot temperature and climate. So the home bases that I will eventually choose are going to be in that category, from the mild to the hot temperatures, just no cold temperatures at all. And KL obviously fits that quite well. So that's how KL matches up with my checklist and makes an ideal home base for me in the Southeast Asia region. Now, I'll continue to look for other home bases in other regions around the world. And if I happen to come up with a place that matches my criteria for a home base in those other regions, I'll let you know about it. So what do you think about my checklist? Are there some other items that you would put on your checklist for a home base? And do you think KL could be a good home base for you in Southeast Asia region? Leave your comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the like button, share with others, leave a comment below, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, let's get out there and travel.